and welcome to Perception Media. I am your hostess, City Geek, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite movies. That has been one of my all-time favorite movies since I saw it when I was 4 years old, and that's Big Trouble in Little China. And I can't express into words how much I love this movie. This started me on my wonderful journey of John Carpenter adoration. Halloween is also in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. They live, did I say they live, The Thing is what I meant to say. Even Prince of Darkness, I mean, just all of his movies are so good in such different ways. The Fog, I love. He's one of those directors that is very specific. His soundtracks are always just synth awesome, and I love like Stanley Kubrick, Alfred Hitchcock, but nothing is as cool as a John Carpenter movie, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna love all over Big Trouble in Little China right now, and talk specifically about Kurt Russell's character, Jack Burton, and how he isn't the hero of the movie. The story as envisioned by Carpenter was supposed to open with Jack Burton driving his 18-wheeler, the Pork Chop Express, talking over his radio. However, the studio mandated that he had to add a scene in beforehand with Victor Wong as Egg Shen talking to a lawyer, but for some reason the lawyer is looking for Jack Burton, which doesn't really make sense why Jack Burton was singled out when there were so many people there for that event that happened. But okay, they're looking for Jack Burton, and Egg defends Burton, explicitly stating Jack Burton is a hero. At this point, he should have just stared into the camera and at all of our souls and winked. Because that's just so on point. The studio felt that Jack Burton needed to be the hero, the definitive hero of the film, and it needed to be very obvious to the audience. And this is important because Jack Burton really isn't the hero of Big Trouble in Little China. He's the sidekick to Wang. So Jack Burton goes to play poker with his friend, Wang Shi. I will do my best with the pronunciations of these things, and I'm going to say right off the bat, they're probably going to be mostly wrong. So he goes to play poker with his friend, Wang Shi, and he wins against him. So Wang promises to pay him after he goes to the airport to pick up his girlfriend, slash fiance, Miao Yin. So Jack wants to make sure he gets his money, so he offers to drive Wang to the airport. There, Jack meets Gracie Law, who is there to also pick up a friend, and that's when they encounter this gang called the Lords of Death, who abduct Miao Yin. And fun fact, Miao Yin actually doesn't have any lines in this movie because the actress who plays her didn't really speak English. She is really beautiful, though. So the Lords of Death work for this larger gang called the Wing Kong, and they're the ones that wear the red bandanas. And they are controlled by the three storms, who are thunder, rain, and lightning, and have no connection whatsoever to Mortal Kombat. Nothing was inspired by them at all. Just nothing. Not a thing. So the three storms work for Lo Pan. There's so many layers! So Lo Pan is this century-old, non-corporeal man who was defeated by the Emperor Qin Shi Huang long ago. That is a real person. This is all a part of actual lore. And he has this, or Lo Pan has this decrepit flesh form, but he longs to be young and to feel again because, as I said, he's non-corporeal. So he makes a deal with the god of the East, Xingdai, and the deal is that he has to marry a green-eyed girl and then sacrifice him to gain a solid young body, or corporeal form again. And it can't just be any old green-eyed girl. She has to pass a test, which is why it has taken him centuries to find one. So back in the rest of the movie, Jack and Wang go to Wang's restaurant where he meets his uncle Chu, and the maitre d', who is just the know-it-all gossip, Eddie Lee. and a wizard who is a rich bus driver known as Egg Shen, and some people theorize that Egg Shen is actually the Emperor Shin Shi Hong, who originally defeated Lo Pan. And Egg works with the Wing Kong's rival gang, the Chang Sing, and they're the ones that wear the yellow bandanas. So Wang, Jack, and Gracie Law and a journalist, Margot, all go to this brothel to try to find Miao Yen, but she was abducted by the Three Storms because of her green eyes. So Wang needs to infiltrate Lo Pan's lair / business to get Miao Yen back. And here we become aware of some few more important things as Jack and Wang go up against the Wing Kong, and Jack drops his gun and runs off screen to go and get it. Meanwhile, Wang is kicking all kinds of Wing Kong butt and defeats them all just in time for Jack to come back into frame. Who's the hero? Yeah, sure, it's really Jack Burton. Okay, so they make it out alive, but without Miao Yen, and now they've lost Gracie Law too. So with the help of Egg and the Chang Sing, they break back in, and they make it in time for Miao Yen and Gracie Law to be getting married to Lo Pan after they'd passed the test, as they both passed. And Lo Pan is preparing to marry them and then sacrifice Gracie Law and then keep Miao Yen as his wife to appease Shanghai and himself. A little selfish, but alright. So before the final battle, Jack fires a few rounds of bullets into the ceiling, causing some rocks or boulders to dislodge, knocking him out before the big battle. Super heroic. And at the end, he does wake back up. He does rescue Gracie Law, and he is the one to defeat Lo Pan because of those quick reflexes. I will say, Lo Pan has the worst plan ever. He makes himself corporeal just to get stabbed. It is like, it's not the most, well, it's not the least thrilling kill in a movie, but kind of. Although when, was it Thunder gets pissed off and he makes himself blow up, that's awesome. Of course, this is John Carpenter we're talking about, so everything in the movie is practical, and I think still totally holds up. It looks amazing, and it's so memorable, and again, the scores and the songs are still so memorable as they are in every John Carpenter movie, and I could talk about those for hours. They're so good. But I digress. So anyway, Gracie Law is freed, and then Wang has Miao Yen back, and Lo Pan is dead, and the Three Storms are all gone, and everyone's all celebrating, yay! And so Jack, who's basically really just along for the ride, decides it's time to get a move on, and he gets his the Pork Chop Express back, and he's ready to hit the road. Before he leaves, Eddie Lee asks, aren't you gonna kiss the girl, Gracie Law, before you go? And Jack just turns back and says, no. And that is important because Jack isn't the one who gets to kiss at the end. He wasn't fighting for his love. He, yes, defeated the villain, but all this is really Wang's story. And in the end, he doesn't get the girl to kiss. Wang does. He doesn't do most of the heavy lifting or kicking. Wang does. He does defeat Lo Pan, but that's really it. That's really all he does. He's not the hero that the studio forced Carpenter into making him be. He's the sidekick, and more importantly, he's the white male audience character in a Western Kung Fu film. So back in the 80s, the US really wasn't making movies like this, and it made sense to have Jack Burton as a character, because I think originally they also wanted it to be a legit Western, and Kurt Russell's definitely doing a John Wayne impression, full on. I think today we still have, when we make movies like this, the white, male audience standing character, and it's not needed. And if Crazy Rich Asians didn't prove it's not needed, I don't know what will. We don't need that character. You can just have a full Asian cast. It's totally fine. Bothersome. And now I can get some. He does offer an important juxtaposition And it is supposed to be kind of a satire in and of itself. Jack Burton is overly Americanized. He's a big talking, egotistical, bumbling idiot, and played by anyone other than Kurt Russell, who doesn't ooze as much charisma and charm, would have been not likable, to say the least. And in contrast to all the other characters in the film, are kind of how Westerners view Eastern culture at the time, which was philosophical, balanced, wise, magical, and powerful. And I can certainly see why some people might look at that and say, like, a movie like that can be made today. But honestly, every culture has movies about, like, their urban legends and their mythology and their folklore, in Western cultures as well as Eastern cultures. In the US, we certainly have movies about, like, Sasquatch, the Jersey Devil. We have movies dealing with, like, more religious stuff, which in Western cultures is in abundance of Christianity. So we have stuff like The Exorcist. We have things about our history, whether it's realistic or not realistic. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. You know what I mean? Like, we have all kinds of stuff. So I mean, I can understand why someone looking at, like, a culture taking mythology or folklore that isn't theirs and making a movie about it. But John Carpenter was influenced by a film, Zoo Warriors of the Magic Mountain, which, if you haven't seen, I highly recommend. I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't been able to find the full film, but it looks really cool. There is a sequel. It's more recent. So I could see, like, people not liking that aspect of it. But overall, it was done. Like, they weren't trying to be harmful or rude, and I would hope that this isn't a movie that gets remade. I know The Rock's been wanting to remake it. I really hope he doesn't. I think it's fine. It's fine where it is. If you just take out that first, like, minute scene with Egg. I love this movie so much. And this is the last movie John Carpenter did with the studio because of all the interference. It's a unique film, and it's a fun film. Just leave Jack Burton alone. We need a Moon Knight movie.